Hello everyone, I am Alshathly. Today in this video, I will talk about modals part 1. The modal auxiliaries in English are can, could, had better, may, might, must, ought to, shall, should, will, would. Modal auxiliaries generally express a speaker's attitude. For example, modals can express that speaker feels something is necessary, advisable, permissible, possible, or probable. And in addition, they can convey the strength of this attitude. Each modal has more than one meaning or use. Each modal has more than one meaning or use. Basic modals can, could, had better, may, might, must, ought to, shall, should, will, would. Modals do not take a final S, even when the subject is she, he, or it. For example, she can do it, the sentence is correct, but she can't do it, the sentence is incorrect. Modals are followed immediately by the simple form of a verb, such as she can do it, the sentence is correct, but she can to do it, she can does it, or she can did it, these sentences is incorrect. The only expectations is ought, which is followed by an infinitive, to plus simple form of a verb. For example, he ought to go to the meeting. Phrasal models: be able to, be going to, be supposed to, have got to, used to. Phrasal models are common expressions whose meaning are similar to those of some of our modal auxiliaries. For example, be able to is similar to can, be going to is similar to will. An infinitive is used in these similar expressions. Polite request with I as a subject. May I, could I? May I borrow your pen? Could I borrow your pen? May I and could I are used to request permissions. They are equal polite. Note in B, the polite request could has a present or a future meaning, not a past meaning. Can I borrow your pen? Can I is used informally to request permissions, especially if the speaker is talking to someone she or he knows fairly well. Can I is usually considered a little less polite than may I or could I. Typical responses: certainly, yes, certainly, of course, yes, of course, sure. This informal. Often the response to a polite request is an action such as a nod or check. Polite request with you as a subject. Would you, will you? A. Would you pass the salt, please? B. Will you pass the salt? The meaning of would you or and will you in a polite request is the same. Would you is more common and is often considered more polite. The degree of politeness, however, is often determined by the speaker's tone of voice. Could you? C. Could you pass the salt, please? Basically, could you and would you have the same meaning. The difference is slight. Would you? Do you want to do this, please? Could you? Do you want to do this, please? And is it possible for you to do this? Could you and would you are equally polite. Can you? D. Can you please pass the salt? Can you is often used informally. It usually sounds less polite than could you or would you. Typical responses: yes, I would. Be happy to or be glad to. Sure. A person usually responds in the affirmative to a polite request. If a negative response is necessary, a person might begin by saying, I would like to, but for example, I would like to pass the salt, but I cannot reach it. When I say, may you pass the salt, the sentence is incorrect because may is used only with I or we in polite request. Polite request with would you mind? Asking permissions. A. Would you mind if I closed the window? B. Would you mind if I used the phone? Not in A. Would you mind if I is followed by the simple past. The meaning in A. May I close the window? Is it all right if I close the window? Will it cause you any trouble or discomfort if I close the window? Typical responses: no, not at all. Of course not. No, that would be fine. Asking someone to do something. C. Would you mind closing the window? D. Excuse me. Would you mind repeating that? Note in C, would you mind is followed by ing, a gerund. The meaning in C, I don't want to cause you any trouble, but would you please close the window? Could that cause you any inconvenience? Typical responses. No, I would be happy to. Not at all, I would be glad to. Sure, okay. These informal. The informal responses of sure and okay are common, but are not logical. The speaker means no, I wouldn't mind, but seems to be saying yes, I would mind. Negative speakers understand that the response sure or okay in this situation means that the speaker agrees to the request. Expressing necessity: must, have to, have got to. A. All applicants must take an entrance exam, or applicants have to take an entrance exam. Must and have to both express necessity. In A and B, it is necessary for every applicant to take an entrance exam. There is no other choice. The exam is required. C. I'm looking for Sue. I have to talk to her about our lunch date tomorrow. I cannot meet here for lunch because I have to go to a business meeting at 1 o'clock. D. Where is Sue? I must talk to her right away. I have an urgent message for her. In everyday statements of necessity, have to is used more commonly than must. Must is usually stronger than have to and can indicate accuracy or stress importance. In C, the speaker is simply saying I need to do this and I need to do that. In D, the speaker is strongly saying this is very important. E, I have to be home by 8. F, he has to go to the meeting tonight. Note, have to is usually pronounced have to and has to is usually pronounced has to. G, I have got to go now. I have a close 10. H, I have to go now and I have a class in 10 minutes. Have got to also express the idea of necessity. And H have the same meaning. Have got to is informal and is used primarily in English in spoken English. Have to is usually in both formal and informal English. I I have got to go. I've got to go or I gotta go now. Usually pronunciation of got to is gotta. Sometimes have is dropped in speech. I gotta do it. Present or future. I have got to, must study tonight. In the past, I had to study last night. The idea of past necessity is expressed by had to. There is no other past form for must when it means necessity or have got to. Lack of necessity and prohibition, have to and must in the negative. Lack of necessity. A. Tomorrow is a holiday. We don't have to go to class. B. I can hear you. You don't have to shut. When used in the negative, must and have to have different meanings. Do not have to, lack of necessity. In A, it is not necessary for us to go to the class tomorrow because it is a holiday. Prohibition. C. You must not look in the closet. Your birthday present is hidden there. D. You must not tell anyone my secret. Do you promise? Must not equal prohibition. In C, do not look in the closet. I followed it. Looking in the closet is prohibited. Negative contraction mustn't. The first T is silent. Advisability should, ought to, had better. A. You should study harder. You ought to study harder. B. Drivers should obey the speed limit. Drivers ought to obey the speed limit. Should and ought to have the same meaning. They express advisability. The meaning rings in strength form suggestion. This is a good idea. To a statement about responsibility or date. This is a very important thing to do. In this good idea, this is my advice. In B, this is an important responsibility. C, you shouldn't leave your keys in the car. Negative contraction shouldn't. D, I ought to study tonight, but I think I will watch TV instead. Ought to is often pronounced oughta in a formal speaking. E. The gas tank is almost empty. You had better stop at the next service station. If you had better take care of that, cut on your hand soon, or it will get infected. In meaning, had better is close to should, ought to, but had better is usually stronger. Often had better implies a warning or a theater of a possible had consequence. In E, if you don't stop at a service station, there will be a bad result. We will run out of gas. Not on the use of better than. had better. It has a present or future meaning. It is followed by a simple form of a verb. It is more common in speaking than writing. T. You would better take care of it. H. You better take care of it. Contraction would better is ing. Sometimes speaking had is dropped in H. You would better not be late. Negative form had better plus not. Thank you for watching and good luck.